Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, how are we? How we doing?
I'm good. It's just Sunday for me.
Yeah, yeah. It is Sunday, but it's the early part of Sunday, so it's still the good part of Sunday.
Yes.
God. Shane. Good morning, buddy. Good morning. Hope
Hey,
your work
Shane.
pays. Hope it's a good one. Get your steps in, pal. Jim. Morning. Mom. Hi.
Morning, Shannon.
Power has been restored to the city of Springfield, or at least to its
Uh,
part.
Big part of it. Yeah.
Good.
There's still a lot of people. Middle of town still getting power.
Good. Cobra Commander got on that fairly quickly.
Damage control has been successful.
Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. I had lost power Tuesday morning when the winds hit, and then they didn't get it back up until Friday.
It's so weird because it was Monday night when we got smacked around when we got wind. We didn't get nothing like what you guys got, and then 12 hours later is when you guys got hit, and it was much worse.
Yeah, it definitely worked itself up by the time I got here.
Say so. Say so. Cliff. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Cliff.
Cliff was telling me he's got a couple more October guard to add to his ranks.
That's awesome.
Well, episode 9, and we are obviously prepping for the DFW GI Joe show, as well as kind of Joe Fest. I don't think we don't have a table or anything, but we still prep because
Yeah, I think our goal for Joe Fest we'll try to we'll support Longbow and Skeletron on the days, and then swap meet night we'll jump up and try to set up a table up there and just set up a mini version of what we'll have at DFW up
sure,
there. I'm finally trying to get somebody to scan a couple of bodies for me. It's not been easy.
oh yeah,
Yeah, the one person I found that could do it, they said they do it for about $60 a figure,
mm-hmm.
which I'm good paying that. But he's in Germany; it'll cost me $60 to send it to him.
Mm, damn,
A lot of stuff for the spaceman would be way easier if I actually had the scan of the body to work with.
sure, sure. It almost like it might even be cheaper to PayPal them the money to buy the figure,
Yeah, yeah, that's what
or
I was
or
wondering.
or split the cost of the figure with them, and then they can scan it and keep the figure as part of the, part of the payment. That sucks.
Well, I know there's got to be somebody close here that can do scans.
Right,
It just
right.
it's hard to think I got to go all the way to Germany to get a couple of scans.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, there is. We're just not in contact with them. We just don't know who they are.
Right.
They're here. They're obviously here. What's Shane talking about? A horror show. I won't have a horror show because I don't have a good recipe for a good version of him. One, he's a big figure, right? Like, and two, you're either going classic or you need the pleated stuff. Now, I sent Cliff a decent idea on what to use for him, and you use the fat Thor for the legs, and then you get some soft good jacket, which I think works okay. But I don't know, horror show. I'm still very much workshopping. it would be kind of cool if there was something McFarlane did where you could use like a 1/10 scale, like make him giant, like how he was when they redid it, like in the aughts when they redid the October Guard, and they were like almost all of them were like armored and like really dark.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad that Riddler jacket wouldn't work with the pleats from the Batman movie.
Oh, yeah. What you mean?
But I think they're just horizontal pleats, aren't they?
There aren't pleats. It's just a jacket.
I thought one of those figures had a pleated puffy jacket.
Oh yeah, there could be one. I don't know. Definitely, I don't know. Yeah, Shane, I think he should be just a mountain of a man. Like probably. I mean, in my mind, it's exaggerated, but he like seems like he's even bigger than Roadblock. Like Roadblock's a mountain of a man, but then there's Horror Show, which is just absurdly large, like a Sasquatch. Like an 8 or 9 foot Sasquatch. I did. I don't know if you got to watch any of Wednesday night's show, but
I did.
I tried the Saw Viper legs on him because they have pads on them.
They look pretty good.
And I think, dude, if you model a piece that can just cover these, that just change that make it like, soft radiuses instead of these, I think that may be the trick, dude. Instead of doing full pads, just make a cap that can go over these like you did the pouches for.
Mm-hmm.
I think that may work, man. Because I think they're just as long as the Techno Viper legs, so you're not losing any height or anything. And then you've got, all the sculpts already there for what have you.
I think we're gonna for the morning. For what we'll have at DFW, I'm just gonna focus on the parts we have. Try to do.
Not for DFW. There's plenty on the plate for DFW. There's a lot.
Yeah, that would be another scan I would have to get as a Saw Viper scan.
Most stuff. Yeah.
Right now, I'm just trying to get a Destro without a collar and a tripwire body done, just for future uses.
For sure.
So I lost a lot of time last week.
Yeah.
I've got 2 projects going on. I've got the stuff we're doing for shows, and I'm moving in a month. So packing and sorting and figuring out what I'm going to sell and all that. And that's been, so I did not get to do any of that last week. But I did spend some time Friday night and yesterday working on the Spaceman.
Nice.
And we'll do a quick rundown of how this whole thing started. But when we did our show about this figure, we took, and these, by the way, if anybody still wants to try that project, they're on sale again at Amazon for $10 a set.
Oh, nice.
I've considered buying a bunch of them just instead of trying to model this helmet, but just take the helmets off and put them on this. But that helmet has a lot of issues too. It's a little small, so we will talk about. We took that Buzz Lightyear body, added it to a Destro body, came up with these.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the ones I'm gonna try to get sold at DFW. Also did this Roadblock, Star Brigade style. Oops. So anyway, that's what we made with those buzz kits. So that the inspiration was to try to make our own kit that would be that. And I've shown it off a few times. We decided that we'll share this image just to remind everybody of what kind of we were trying to. Yeah. So that was kind of the sketch I did. So everything's kind of trying to move towards that. And the last couple of weeks, we have I've made small progress here and there getting this thing ready. Well, what I'm going to do is go through. We did the helmet, I believe, last time.
Yeah, it does.
The roadblock gun or the Duke gun. I think both of them work really good. The roadblock gun, I just cut the end off of it and moved it to the side so it has like this. So from the front, it really looks.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like really.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good way to use that gun, and then I added this piece here, added a piece to basically use the barbecue gun, chopped it up so that I would have this hose drop, and then loaded it into where the magazine is here. So it's actually pretty sturdy. This thing turned out really good. Something that would be fun to do a few more of them. I used on the guns on purpose. I used the brighter colors because I was kind of homaging how Star Brigade had the crazy yellow, pink, red, blue weapons.
Very, very bright sprues.
Yes. Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and share. What happened last week? So we did I did a lot of just work on this, decided that I would want to, how I wanted this build to be. Came up with this kind of tanker look with this front. I wanted it to have the look of that, one of those figures that we looked at, the inspiration board, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So sticking with that, kind of got an idea of what to do here. Hold on here. Let me see what's going on with this thing. Sorry, let me fix this. I don't know what it's doing here. There we go. All right. So just trying to position everything. Just want to show this piece that I made to go in here to there. So this is what I wanted to build on. I wanted it to kind of look like everything was built to like a classic kind of look here. So getting everything lined up.
Morning, Brian. We'll see you later,
Morning,
buddy.
Brian.
It's your replay.
So this is kind of the barrel look. This doesn't have the arms cut out or anything. This was just to get a good solid shape, on shape with a surface I could depend on. And then from there, I'm going to start building the side, these guys here. Bring in a cube, pull it up. I think I did this on one of the other episodes to see how this works. Will do. I won't have near as much cool stuff as Mikey. So.
We're going to have some cool stuff.
All right, so here I brought in a cube. I'm going to use this surface. This over here is me mirroring out. I want both sides to go at the same time. I don't have to do this, but the reason I do it is because I look at it in one view with all the dots and everything, and then I go in the other view to clear it out. I end up moving this around a lot. Here, we'll get the main piece of it. What I find, when you do a sketch that is just in 2D, what you think you see, and then you actually try to model it, a lot of the time that is two different things that will happen. So you really have to accept that this is all very experimental. This was, honestly, this video is about 3 hours long. So I'm going to go through it because this was just me. And honestly, this time I did not spend a lot of time not modeling in that time. But what this is going to do is once I turn this into a full surface, I can see exactly where it interacts along this line here with this piece that I know this is what I want this to look like. So I'm going to use this to get the right look for the shoulder going over the shoulder. And that is how I'm going to do that. And here you can see both sides. You kind of a life buoy look. This is going to pop out from the armor a little bit. And all this time I've got my sketches and my inspiration board handy. I don't have them on my screens. I keep them on the actual paper. So the inspiration board sits under my keyboard, and I slide it out from under the keyboard when I want to look at something to get an idea. There's one of them that I really particularly liked, and that was the kind of marine looking guy that looks like he has one of these but with a regular helmet. That one I'll show it later, but that one is the one that I keep looking at because I really like the aesthetic of it. So we'll get here me putting some hard lines in. You see when I triple the lines up on this side, on the other side I can watch it live how sharp it looks. And this is just part of design, I will do this and I will change it. You can see up here in this corner what that other side looks like, and I can adjust these to get exactly what I want it to do. And I will, and then I will decide to change it all. So there you go. I'll spend quite a bit of time doing this, and then later on I will decide this is not the look that I want. And here's why. Because the thing that everybody likes to put a lot of lines on things, which is fine. It just, for me, I want I want to think about it in a very practical way. If I was building a set of armor to protect me, if I have a bunch of seams on the chest, those are places that penetration could happen easier. So once I got through all this, I decided to pull out the seams. See here, I've already decided that. Now I'm going to work this out. Start to get the shape that I want. It takes a while. And then here's where I decided, like, okay, we're going to build this extra piece here to fill this in so that I can get the look I want. And I'm just going to move these pieces around to get the surface the way I want it. Now we're really starting to get the shape of it here. I'm going to build in. I'm going to
Morning,
go through
buddy.
this. I'm going to go through this one pretty quick. It's a Canaan. All right, so here I want to tie into the mouthpiece on the helmet. This is how I'm going to do that. What I'm going to do at the back. I'm going to pull it out. I will end up adding a piece here that I take out. I'm going to add it later with Onshape, this piece here. There will be something like this going up the back that almost kind of has it look like a spine. But it's going to be a little different, and I want to do it mathematically in CAD. So that's the plan. So this is kind of the overall look. Sliding those edges to see how much roundness I want in that. And because of how this is, I will spend a lot of time moving the points around to get nice clean surfaces.
Naturally. Jerk. Good morning, sir.
We about got
Crazy.
it. I got the shape
Crazy
what I want here.
jerks.
Morning, Jerk.
Yeah, that's not good. It's got some nice shapes.
Yes, it'll look really good. Now here I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. I just want to kind of get a look of how it's going to look, and then I'm going to cut out that gray to where it will fit the light gray. I was trying to model this in black, and it just drove me crazy. So I like the look of the black to show it, but I can't see the lines or anything in black.
Yeah, that's
what I will do is pick a dark blue that I like and make everything that color. So here we've got the shape. I'm going to fix this front. Slide it up. There we go. Now I really get to see what the vest is going to look like here. And what ends up happening here is I spend quite a bit of time trying to join two meshes. And there was really no reason to do that. What I should do here, and what I will do in the next probably hour of this video, is move these lines to where they match the shape from the top and then rebuild the shape. There's kind of, this is what we got. So I need to rebuild this surface, this gray surface right here. The worst part of this whole thing is my next video was supposed to be me modeling these shoulder pads. And I hit start on the recording, paused it to go get a drink, came back, started working, and forgot to turn off pause. So another 2 hours of work in making the shoulder pads, but you will see the result, and I am quite happy with them. So this is me adjusting this blue line to where it hits the gray, making any changes to make sure the lines all look good, go together nicely. In the end, I thought they really did. I thought it turned out really good. It just takes a little work. You see, I'm just adjusting that line. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to loft these surfaces up to here. So that's why all of this needs to be as simple and clean as possible along this line here. So there's the old surface of the top. I tried this. This did not work. What an embarrassment. So, and I do not know that I have that video, but we will check here in just a minute. This is pretty much where I ended this video. I was pretty discouraged and wasn't sure what I was going to do, so I took a few minutes and I had some beef roast from last Sunday that had managed to be saved over the week, and I went and ate that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. All right, so I'm going to stop this for a minute and go to the other one.
Shout out to our man Roll Keeper.
Oops.
I got your warlord painted up, dude.
Oh god, that looks good.
Should be sending you a picture of this relatively soon.
That looks great.
I think it came out really nice.
So this hour-long video is me just doing retopology to get everything where I want it. I'm going to change the color here so that I can see it to do this next step. And then I'll remove the spine. Let me change the color just for contrast so I can really see the shades. And like I say, what I'm doing here, I end up rebuilding this whole area so that this all flows in together as one continuous line all the way around this collar. Again, design intent tells me I should have done that in the beginning. It did not. And that is why this took so much longer than it should have. But at that point, I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. So here is how I rebuilt this, where these two go together. I pulled this edge out. And when you're building in a polygon program, you really want each polygon to have 4 points, four vertices. You get 5 and it goes wonky, 3 and it won't work right. It'll end in star points and have all kinds of trouble with it. So I don't want that. So I'm going to find a way to turn all of these vertices to come to this one point. So here's what I do here. I bring them up. I still have 5 points at this, and I need it to be less. But I will take care of that in just a minute. Now I have turned it into 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how I managed that. It's in such a tiny area, you would never see that that's what I did there. But I follow all the rules anyway because I don't want to go through all this and then have this one area not come out right. So the idea is you would have one continuous line all the way around here. sometime in here, I do realize that I'm never going to be able to build it around that piece in the back, that spine piece, and I pull it out. So yeah, this lid up here, I want to just talk about this for just a second. This is what I meant. So I have one continuous line all the way around here for this piece that I'm going to build here with the head seal on it. Now, I could try to pull these up and somehow make them all work correctly, but what I will do is tighten these lines up, make sure that I have what I want here. And all of this is because I know I'm going to build this surface here, so I am prepping to build that surface as easily as possible, so that it has one nice continuous loft all the way around it. Just cleaning these lines up so that, again, this corner will be nice and tight when it goes to the when it goes up. So I'm building a small base to kick this up from.
Son of a Ground Slayer's here. Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
So here is the preliminary. I've got the new helmet ring here. I'm really just stalling because I am excited to show you guys what it all looks like. But also, this is my opportunity to show everybody just how much work goes into something like this. People don't realize how much time it takes. And it sounds like it's not worth it, but it's worth it, because you're basically, this is what sculpting by hand is like. You know, when you watch guys like Rocco that do like these beautiful statues and stuff, and he's making them out of plasticine or regular clay or wax, all of that stuff, you go through this manually, you know.
Except there's no mirror or undo.
That's right. That's right. And that is why, in a lot of ways, this becomes the superior way of doing it. So if this took me an hour to do what this little video is here, if you were doing this by hand sculpting, you're probably looking at 3-4 hours of work, if not more. And then if it's bad, you have to start all over. I can just delete a couple of things and be done with it. To do this properly,
you could have sculpted this out of Bondo at one point in your life, no problem. But then you would have had to have hollowed it out, smoothed it out, mirrored. You'd had to do it all sides by eye and hand. Like
the mirror is probably the most valuable thing.
Definitely.
Now, guy, like I say, I talked about Rocco. He's a sculptor. He's been in the industry for a long time. I'm a huge fan of his. But Rocco, he does statues, and when you're doing statues, you don't have to worry about mirror so much. In fact, most of the time with heads, the most realistic heads are not mirrored at all. It's because people's faces are not symmetrical, you know. Mm-mm. My next point here is going to be to evenly distribute these points so that the loft works nicely. If you have a bunch of them really close together, then that'll make instead of having a nice smooth loft, wherever you have the most lines in there, it'll put like divots and flat spots in it. So you want to evenly space this. And here is where the horror of what this is going to be like starts sinking in. And I will just run away, is what I'm going to do.
Run away.
So I did that pull there just to see what kind of loft I was going to look at. Here we go. I'm looking at it. Like, yes, this is frighteningly scary. And I will try a couple of things, I think, here that are almost embarrassing that I tried them. But, it's all in the name of research and development. You would think I could just kick this angle over and it would work, and I could just rotate it. But what I realized was when it did this, it changed the size of the loft. So this looks like this should have been really easy to do. Yeah, I'll adjust the angle a little more. There we go. But I could never get the size just right. Here we go. I'm going to pull it in a little bit. So the reason it's like this is when I move vertices like this and I do it on the axis, then I know that it's clean and it doesn't move up and down because I've already adjusted the height. So if I do it on the x-axis and Blender X is side to side, Y is front to back. Different programs look at that differently, but that's how it is in Blender. So if I do these moves on the x-axis, I've already determined the height, and now I am just moving these points over to this line. I built this in Onshape, so this is my line. I mean, it has to meet this line because it has to match the helmet.
I don't understand why Blender would change the fundamentals of.
It's a setting. I think you can go in there and tell it like, hey, I need the x-axis, or you could build everything on the right. Now, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work that way, but in Blender, you use the keypad, and 1 is the front, 3 is the side, turns you to an exact view, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I change it to CAD style, then my front is actually 3, my top is still 7, but 1 is the side and 3 is the front. So it's just
so weird.
It's just my workflow, right? That's all I'm messing with. I've already, because I went on the Z or the Y axis here, I got it messed up, but it'll be all right. Everything will be all right.
It's just weird. The Y axis should be up and down. That's the Y axis. The Z is front to back.
Well, actually, the Z is up and down on most modeling programs. That's just how it is.
That's so weird to me, I guess.
And I think it doesn't matter to most people because when you're doing CAD, a lot of the stuff that you do, see, I moved that on the y-axis, so it raised the height because it stayed at the same height. So I have to go in and readjust everything. But yeah, because when you're doing CAD, you might orient, like some people do like a drawing based on the center point and then build to the side off of that center point, the side and up. Mm-hmm. And I like to center all my drawings and dimension them that way, just because that's how I like it. Because in a sculpting program, that is what you do. You work right in the center of the mass. You work from the center of the mass. In CAD, a lot of times you will start with your key right in the corner, the center of the drawing. Just in CAD. Architecture, you do whatever you got to do, but classic drafting, that's not important. But computer programs, just like the difference between polygons and parametrics, like those two types of programs have always stayed completely away from each other, which is super frustrating for people like me because I'm trying to use both tools.
Right.
And program like Rhino, it's got the ability you can switch which axis system you use depending on what you're good at, what you're good with. So here I am smoothing some things out, finding how this looks. Again, because I have the mirror on, I can just turn it, I can just spin it around and look at what the other side, how the surface looks on the other side. But doing it this way, I know this right here stays nice and flat. Now, there we go. Pretty keen, pretty happy with it. I'm so happy with it, I'll spend the next 30 minutes messing with it. And I'm using this intersection to where I can see this corner. I'm going to drop one in here to match this front, and drop one up here to match this one. And that'll get me 2/3. Now it gets really tight back here, but that's okay. That just makes a cleaner break when I look at it. So I'm going to take the front three of these lines, and slide them up. And you'll see in the videos I don't have autosave on. It's a kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, if I have autosave on and I get deep into something and autosave saves it before I can access the undo button, undo is a lot harder to do. So looking at this, I'm still going to have to close this up. I have these lines here. I want this to be a nice clean line, and I'll have multiple lines here I'm going to want to close up. So I'm going to clean these up, make sure that these will meet nicely. And notice I got a little issue here, and when I remake this ring, I will take that into consideration. I'm going to evenly space the space between these so I can drop some stuff in here. I'm waiting until I'm really sure about this before I drop this other band across here. All right, got it looking pretty good. I'm going to take one last look at this piece and think about how I could do this. But it's just going to be easier to make it a separate piece at this point. It will take a long time to retop that. So I try. I really do. Here I spend way more time than I should have trying to get it to look like it could work. And then I just remove it. This will allow me to clean this up and put this together the way it needs to be. I realize here that I've got this way more complicated than it needs to be because I'm not going to use that back piece. So I will clean this up too. And I have a 3-point polygon there, and we can't have that. So I did clean it up. I have a mess right there, which I will fix in another segment, but this will get me to where this looks correct. Get it to where it meets the ring as good as possible. That's another thing you have to think about scale. When you're working on something as big as a car or a boat, these things don't look as critical, and it's a lot easier. That's an interesting question for me. it's hard for me because I do like doing both, but the main difference for me when we're talking about all of that is repeatability. It is, once you have a 3D printer set up, it is way cheaper and faster to just make duplicates. Uh, so if you're doing something, if you're just doing a one-off, a lot of times it's easier to sculpt by hand. If you're doing something scratch building and you want to use pieces that already exist, then by hand is definitely the way you want to go. But I've learned over time that, especially in model making, that just the ability to control everything. I don't have to go to Hobbytown USA 4 times to find the right tubing that slides into this other tubing that works with this and looks like this. I don't have to do that anymore unless I'm scratch building something. Scratch building is still great for if I have, say, a GI Joe or Valaverse 1/12 scale weapon and I want to make something different, like I did for that Roadblock Star Brigade figure. There is fun in that. There is a release to that. If you are a sculptor or an artist or a designer, that definitely still matters. So you still need that tactile experience once in a while. Same with painting, right? I do love to draw, but there is no undo button. So if you're doing a painting and you're under a time crunch, to think that all the work you just did isn't good because you laid down a color that just looks atrocious and you can't fix it, then that really messes you up, and it's super just destroys your confidence, your ability to keep working. So there's still pros and cons to both. I do still love working with my hands, but I also like repeatability, and I like the idea of being able to take something and do it a couple of different ways in just 25 or 30 minutes, as opposed to 2 or 3 days rebuilding the same thing or repainting something from scratch. So that there are benefits, but I don't think anything replaces tactile touch. I think that's always going to be a thing, especially for artists and sculptors. I think you'll always want to do that.
Gun Bunny. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Now I get to decide what to do with this mess. So I just drop another line in there so I have 4 points at the bottom, and then I can tie it all together. This area here will probably get redone later, cleaned up a little differently, but this really works for now. And I can see it on this side, so I like it. It turned out all right. And to remove this, because the way to make this work for printing, I want to keep these edges all open and do a thickening process just to get a print made. So for now, all this gets cleaned up. And that's what we end up with. And as I worked on this more, when I started working on the shoulder pads, I changed a lot of this area here. I made some changes, and there will be more, but I am really happy with what's been done so far. So I will keep it at that. No problem, Dan. It's one of those things, like it's a kind of, it's not a loaded question, but it's worth talking about, because as somebody that does both, I like knowing that everybody can still do both also, Like I said, I think there's a huge benefit to doing stuff by hand and touching it, feeling it. The tactile experience is definitely important. So clean this up. Again, when the final product is ready to go, this will all be tied together. But for printing, I just want a shell, because Blender's solidify function really does suck. And we're about to the end of this video. So that's my mesh. There's a lot that really needs to be cleaned up. It's still got a lot of rough spots, a lot of things that are too close together. They need to be more evenly spaced. And I'll do those later. Right now, I was just trying to get to where I could print it to see how it fits. This, you see the thickening function, how it does stuff like this on the corners. It's just really frustrating. But it will be enough to test fit and see how it all looks. Here, I see what the thickening function is now. I think you can see here when I delete this what it does. See how much cleaner it is without that overcut. And that's just when you're doing it, you just got to kind of figure out what's important and pull out anything that doesn't need to be there. Watch what this corner does when I delete this. See, nice and clean. And Blender's ability to measure is ridiculous. Like it says down here in the corner, it says 0.08 for that shell piece, and it is not 8/100ths of a millimeter, I promise. So when I get ready to do this for production, I have little spacers that I made in Onshape that are 0.8 of a millimeter, 1 millimeter, and 1.4 millimeters. 1.4 millimeters is pretty much the standard for like that Buzz Lightyear chest and things like that. So drop that, and let's see where we got. All right. So after a few more hours of work, here's the shoulder pads that I ended up with. I added this little piece here because that shape's going to be here, and the idea for me is that these would be lit up, that same kind of a look down the side, so you'd have that same look. And when I do the armbands, I'll add 2 of them to the armbands too, just to make it so that when he's lit up, you see the lines up his arm in like a blue light or a green light or whatever you decide to do. But this is where we're at right now. pretty happy with it. It's this is one of those things that you do all this and then you still admit it's a good start because I know I got a lot more to do. But that's where we're at. And so we'll take a look at where we started. And where we are today. Let's see here. All right. So again, this was what we wanted to do. And this is what we end up with.
Sweet.
So as we progress each show, I'll keep everything in this color on this Destro buck that I have, and each time the new parts will be added to it until we're at the end.
Oh yeah.
Pull this up to the big. So this is where we are. These are straight out of the printer. These will be separate. I just wanted to get that silhouette, right? The silhouette I was wanting. I was going to make these kick out more, but I pulled them in so that he'll fit into the jet fighter better. Or anything you wanted to use him for. The canopy, the bubble is still a question mark how we're going to do that. I'm going to talk to, there's a guy on Facebook, I forget his name now, but he's been taking 3D files for windshields, like for the Tomahawk, 112 scale Tomahawk and things like that, and he's doing a print and polish on them. And I talked to him and see if he might want to help out, see what it would cost to have him make a bunch of these for me. But this piece does snap into this. It is a separate part. Turned out really nice. Let me if I can make myself bigger here. Maybe. Can I just pull it in? How do I make myself bigger? There, thank you. So here he is.
Sweet.
Once I get this right. So this is kind of the look he's going to have.
Oh yeah.
So he's definitely on its way. There's still a lot to clean up, a lot to do, make sure all of this works right. But this is here's the helmet. The bubble snaps into this ring, so it can be just like that. Now this the bubble is shiny because I got it up to 600 grit and polished it up a little bit just so it would have a shine to it. The problem to really do this with 3D printing is the inside. You see there's still a lot of bumps.
Mm-hmm.
So finding a way to make sure that can all get polished out in there too, which is, I'm sure, can be done. So that is where we are today.
Oh yeah. Very cool.
Thank you.
Made some nice progress there.
Yeah, not bad for one day.
Not bad.
I was pretty bummed about the shoulder pads. I had, again, using that one image from the inspiration board, which I will pull that up here. This one. I'm obviously not going to copy this work entirely. That would not be right, but I definitely like some of the things. I like the way this up here looked. This here, I like this circle in the side, and then since I mounted mine higher, so I could put the lines in it so they can go down the sleeve. But I really loved the way this looked, so that is kind of what I went with. So there's still the magazine on the gun will be removable. It does have, I forgot who had suggested that it have a power thing on the battery to let you know if it was on or not. It does have that on the bottom. I just never showed it. Dan, that could happen. I am trying to not have to do that. I really would like to eventually get this piece, get that bubble made, like cast, so that I would have it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the Spaceman is one of several that will use a bubble helmet. Thanks, Can. Appreciate it. There's still some other characters in the Joe line that could use a bubble helmet. I'd like to do like to get a General Hawk made. A few others. With those astronauts, there's also still an ozone. And get this kit done. I'm gonna do one of those for Dave Kunitz with the Spaceman parts instead of the Buzz Lightyear parts. Deep Six could, but I think Deep Six deserves a more. It just depends on what you like. You know, does he need?
I mean, you could do like a V1 style where it's kind of a dome, which looks pretty badass on a big mechanical looking suit. Looks pretty rad.
It does. It does, and I'm not going to deny that doesn't look pretty good. And to me, that's pretty iconic looking. Deep Sixes that they've done after that, and people even when they just basically remade it for the 25th anniversary stuff. The thing is that suit really that kind of deserves almost snake armor treatment. I think that character, if you're going to say it's that kind of a suit, then you don't really want the knee joints and everything exposed. You would want it to be all tightened up.
Yeah.
But this kit would probably look pretty good painted in Deep Six colors too. I mean, that's kind of the idea here, is that you have this armored kit that looks like an astronaut. The ones for the DFW workshop that Mikey's doing they're all going to be black, so that you can make the Fisher Price figure or homage. Sorry, with the blue head and white hair. So yeah, there's different ways of looking at it, I guess.
For sure.
But clock's ticking. There's a lot of stuff to still get done, and And there is a lot of it with this, especially with a figure like this. Yes, and in the Cosmic Legions universe, that is his name. But yeah, so there's a lot still to do. We still have got a couple of things to make for Mikey still, and a special project that I'm doing with Cotswold Collectibles that will debut the prototype at DFW.
Sweet.
Something way outside of the classified range.
Morning, Tony.
Morning, Tony.
Tony and Shane both have lives coming up later this afternoon. I believe Shane's is at 3, and Tony, I think, is at 4:30 Central, I believe.
Awesome. I missed so much stuff this week without having power. I forget how much of life revolves around having the internet.
Yeah, it's a lot.
All right. What else do we need to go over? I haven't even bought anything in a couple of weeks, so moving and packing supplies.
Well, you got to buy those. You gotta get that stuff. I did get. Show you something.
Thank
Did
you,
manage
Shane.
to find 2 more of these.
Excellent.
Figured probably gonna need those.
My printer is not ideal right now, but I have to clean the vat with every print.
Ooh.
So I'm about ready to. Until I got to get a new LCD screen, I guess. That's what's wrong. The one that I bought is not fitted.
That sucks.
It does. Terrible.
That sucks.
But I do. It is functional enough to make trays of stuff. So if I get enough going, I can get us punched out some sci-fi kits, get them in bags and labeled. I have all the parts, so if anybody does want one, just holler at me. I'll make you a deal on it. And then I'll get it on the website.
And they're pretty good. They're sci-fi. It's coming along. The kit. You can see the sci-fi kit. Now, I prep. I mean, I sanded it, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time doing it. That guy. And came out really good with that wash. Really,
Yeah, it did.
Really brought out all those details you put in there. The backpack, I think, even more so.
Yeah, I watched you do that the other night. That was I watched it yesterday, but
I think here's the helmet, which I think looks fucking awesome. That looks fucking dope.
It does.
So I painted all the black, everything, all the black pieces are gloss, so that'll all pop against the
right,
flat gray and yellow.
Which is how the original was.
That's how he looked. Yep. So I think Wednesday we'll assemble it, and then I'm going to do some chrome dry brushing on the silver, on the backpack and the blaster and the laser. And then I think you and I had talked about doing some like
Scorch marks.
Yeah, like some carbon scoring on the barrel. So I'll probably do that too. But yeah, you can see that it looks really good. I'm really stoked to assemble it. And those Marauders pouches, that worked out real well, dude.
Really well, yeah.
And the tape thing, just I cannot believe how well that worked.
And you said that was the 1mm?
Yeah, I think that was the 1mm vinyl tape.
Which is difficult to get by itself.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Unless
The only reason I have it was
unless you can order it directly. You get the sets and you get a few sizes.
Which is how I got it, because I use the other sizes way more. But yeah, it's coming. It's come out really, really nice. I'm really happy with it.
How many times did you wrap it? 3?
I just did one.
Oh, it was just one wrap?
Yeah, just one. Hell yeah.
Those links are in the chat, so if somebody wants to go direct, you can.
Check it out now. Oh, so rubber. Yeah, yesterday I went to okay, so last week, Johnny, the guy that runs my comic book shop, Brew Squad, let me know that there was a show in St. Joe that he was helping a showrunner put together and get it going. Like he'd done the show before, but it was the first time in this new venue, which is just a 2 doors down from his toy store. And so yesterday I got up and went up there, and turns out I drove to St. Joe, it has like half an hour. It's not like a big deal or anything. Drove up there. Turns out it's actually today, not yesterday. So I was like, well, shoot. So I was like, well, I'm up here, so what can I do? So I got a donut, into a donut shop, got a donut, which was also in the same strip mall. And then his store wasn't open yet, the toy store, so I didn't go there, but I did go to a flea market right next to it, and I got some vinyl, and a CD. Yeah. So I got some cool stuff, some cheap vinyl, which was awesome, and you know what? I'll just show you.
Just show. While you're doing that, I was going to show Zakanan. I was going through stuff to pack and
XCOM, the board game.
Obviously not as much fun as a video game. And then I have the Evolution expansion.
Whoa.
And then I'd kind of forgotten I had this, but I have this Chrysalid figure. And I think it's about the only figure that they've done out of this line, which is sad because there are so many cool things they could do. God, but I would love to get into some XCOM licensed stuff. So I knew you'd like that, Zucchini. I thought about you when I was pulling them out. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta show him.
Gotta show him. Yeah. So what I got yesterday, first is the CD, Eric Clapton Journeyman. It's one of my favorite albums. I have this on CD, but I thought, you know what? For $3, I'll have a backup.
Hell yeah.
And then I got
Me too. Me too.
I got the very best of Jan and Dean.
Oh, that's good.
That's a gooder. Nice shape. You know.
I was like their very best like also includes like songs that you know from other people from that time frame.
This, yeah, yeah.
Is that one all them?
No, it's got no because Little Deuce Coupe's on it.
Okay, I was gonna say their studio was like incredible about making sure that they had songs to pack the album. So if you had that sound,
but yeah, it's all writing and it's all driving and surfing. Every bit of it. A little old lady from Pasadena, Little Deuce Coupe, Dead Man's Curve. It's a good album. But yeah, they're not half of them are originals.
Right.
Let's see here. Sundown, Gordon Lightfoot.
Love that album.
Yeah, that's a gooder. Blues Brothers. Can't go wrong with some Blues Brothers. White Vegeta, what's up, sir? And then this one, I don't like the cover, but this album I'm pretty excited about. The Sun record sessions of Elvis. This is all the OG stuff.
Right.
Milk Cow Blues, and That's All Right. And pretty excited because I don't have one of those. Like I said, not crazy about the cover on it, but I've wanted one that was just the Sun Records.
It's always good to get any Elvis album that has That's All Right on it.
Absolutely.
It's kind of obscure for later Elvis fans.
Yeah, but it's still one of my favorites.
It is. I believe that was technically his first release on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got those, and then right around then, his store opened up at noon, so I went in there and walked around, and I did not buy anything there. But this afternoon, I am going to go back up there to the convention. I'll be looking out for stuff.
Yeah, we need Destro bodies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. His store had it's a nice store. It's impressive, especially if you're into Black Series, because it's an entire wall of Black Series. I mean, it's probably a 30-foot wall. It's just all black. It's impressive. It's impressive. It's as close as I can get to a 6-inch version of how Power of the Force 2 was when I was a child.
Right. Yeah, like for me, one of my favorite memories is every year we would go to family vacation. We would almost always end up in California, in Lawndale, California. That's where my uncle and aunt lived, my dad's brother. And we would end up out there. And I remember going to a place, it wasn't Children's Palace, but it was like Children's Palace. We had Children's Palace here before we had Toys R Us. And it was like that, and the 82 figures were just out. And this place had, when you walked in, it had the front wall, had the wall to ceiling glass in the front. And right next to that glass was, from the wall to the ceiling of the store, was 1982 figures and all the vehicles and all of that on just this massive display. I was, I don't remember how old I was, 9 maybe. And I remember just thinking, like, because in that same area, my uncle Mike, when I would go out there, he would take me to this Army surplus store, and it was the closest thing I've ever seen to like the movie Commando, like that kind of a surplus store. They had Ma Deuces and AT4s and all kinds of stuff in there. It was crazy, and he would take me over there, and I love that stuff.
Oh hell yeah!
But yeah, so every time I'd go to California, like, hey Larry, every time I go, we would go out there. Like I would see some other piece of that place that I liked, and this is how terrible I was. The year before, we had gone to Disneyland out there, and so the next year everybody was going to Disneyland again, and we couldn't have. We weren't cable people, and so this was a little bit later. This was around the time that Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer was like just flooding MTV. And I literally stayed home from Disneyland that day so that I could watch MTV while everybody was at work or on vacation.
Wow.
Instead of going to Disneyland again. I think Mom and Dad thought it was pretty weird, but at the same time, I think my dad was like, well, let's save one ticket. So they gave me some cash, and when my Uncle Mike got home, he and I went to the surplus store and bought some things. And had a pretty good day. But man, I got to watch MTV all day. I know for people that had cable back then, that didn't mean anything, but for me, man, that was awesome.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Did he get a Ma Deuce? Did he?
No, it was a little out of the price range.
Shit.
But they had, this place had, they had all the surplus, all the gear, all that stuff. And then they had a back room that had like Vietnam era stuff. And that's where the Ma Deuce was. They had a 30 cal on a tripod. And one of the things I thought was really cool about it is they actually had like a model section in there. And almost all of the models were one scale replicas of real rifles.
That's wild.
It was so cool. It was, I remember this was like I said, mid 80s. They were like, I think they had a M16 with a 203 under over, and it was like $108. And like for the next year, that's all I thought about was next year going out there and buying that model. That was going to be my purchase, But yeah, it was. Unfortunately, that year also GI Joe was on fire, so I ended up every time we go on one of our little mini vacations, like we'd go to Hannibal or something like that, and we'd go to Walmart, and I would spend my vacation money at Walmart on a GI Joe vehicle, and my dad would just be. She said, we were all the way over here, and that's what you're going to buy. And I was like, well, I don't need any more Mark Twain books. I can get those at the library and buy those at the bookstore. I don't need like a Tom Sawyer's paintbrush with whitewash stains on it. There was literally a store there that had paintbrushes that had been dipped in whitewash and dried. And they were selling them as like Tom Sawyer paintbrushes. There was no use for them at all, except they had been used to, whitewash a fence or whatever. Yeah, I didn't need that. I didn't. By the time we did that trip, I was already reading Letters from the Earth from Mark Twain and had a totally different view on the entire world. So. Because that one will get you thinking. Anybody that hasn't read that, Mark Twain wrote, there's a part of it, most of it is from the point of view of Lucifer, who has been cast to the earth. And he talks about just how absurd humanity is. But it really gets pretty deep. Twain was really, Sam was really into his feels at that stage of his writing.
Seems only natural.
Yeah, it was surplus stores were a lot different back then. It was your best bet now if you really want to get really good surplus stuff. You go to a town like That was at Clarksville, Tennessee, where they have a base local and people pawn their stuff.
Oh yeah.
You can get like all the current gear. They'll have them, helmets.
There's still a pretty good one in North Kansas City. I like that. It's a little shop, but he's still out there.
Yeah, that one that was in Grandview, Missouri for the longest time, that was one of the biggest ones I'd ever seen. And he actually had, like, it looked like almost like a used car lot in the back, kind of backside. And he had Jeeps and helicopter, carcasses and airplane carcasses out there.
That's cool.
It was pretty neat.
That's cool. But I guess, I mean, at that time, Grandview had that military base that was right there, right? So.
Yeah, Richards Cabal Air Base was out there, and there were Marines stationed there. So.
Yeah.
So it had a pretty good run. For the longest time, he had a mutt out there in front of the store with a 108 recoilless mounted on it. It was a replica, obviously. It was not
awesome.
fireable, which would have been pretty cool, honestly.
That would have been really cool.
He turned that 108 into a t-shirt launcher and go to parades. Maybe that would be fun. Blast candy out of it.
If you had your coordinates down, you wouldn't have to leave. You just launch it from there.
You can launch it from the house. Triple D's Dungeon is here.
What's up, Dave? How are you?
Appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, I mean that one in Springfield closed years ago. Now it's like a Polaris dealership or some shit.
Like, yeah, that one was a pretty good sized one too.
That was a good one. That was the one I remember from my childhood. Was meeting you down there in Springfield and going to that one. That was a pretty good one.
It was.
Kids don't give a shit about that anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. But then, most of the stuff that a lot of the before surplus stores kind of died out, most of them were carrying things that you can buy online for so much cheaper.
Yeah.
And it really takes that out of it. When you think about the old surplus stores, they literally had Army surplus, and like the one down in Ozark, I think they're still there, but a majority of their things are all just new gear. It's all just new backpacks and
right
molly sets and stuff like that. And it's just like I'm not going to buy that here. That's not even military issue,
Right.
And you got people that are doing stuff that that like the Rhodesian camo and stuff like that, and doing them in shirts that you can buy online that you can wear to work, which I enjoy those shirts that those companies make, because it looks like a Hawaiian shirt, but it's got little Uzis on it. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's a lot different thing. But at the same time, that means that what used to be you could only get like at a surplus store, or hope your surplus store could have them, you can usually find that stuff now. Oh, eBay wrecked that market years ago.
True. Yeah.
eBay, you can, it's not as easy now, but in the early 2000s especially, you'd pop up actual flight helmets and flight suits from Russia when Russia changed over. Man, that stuff, you get all kinds of military stuff from Russia, and that it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Still like to get a dragon off, but I don't think that's going to happen.
That's a pretty tall order. I mean, keep your eyes peeled or whatever, but
right.
Pretty tall.
Yeah, I remember when the dark net was like all the rage, and people were like, "You can buy heroin and have it delivered to your door." I don't know about that, but there was some pretty crazy stuff out there that you could buy, but you're not going to get a $70 Mac 10.
No,
you can get a Mac 10, and they're going to be $70.
Yeah. It's still going to be a piece of shit. But...
Well, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, it's no.
you'd
It's
probably make one in your
not.
garage that'd be just as good as a
You definitely
$300.
could. It's kind of the beauty of those stamped steel.
Yeah, I
for
watched
sure.
a video just a few weeks ago about a guy that made the original style Sten. He made one in his garage out of blueprints from England.
With the tube and the wire frame grip and stock. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was literally the whole intent of the Sten gun was that you would just
You could
pump
literally
them
build
out.
it in a machine shop
Yeah.
in whatever area you were occupying.
Right.
And it is a simple gun.
Incredibly.
I mean, they got them when they did the Sten Mark II came out, and obviously that's the Sterling. Most people know that gun, because that's the gun that they based the Stormtrooper blaster off of. So
right.
that one's the popular one, and it's funny to me being in props off and on throughout my life, like how many of those disappeared just for prop builders. Prop builders just bought them up. Same with the flare gun that Boba Fett's rifle is based on. Those flare guns and people are always like, well, it should have, you got the pistol grip on it. One side is flat. One side has a checkered grip, checked grip on it. And that is literally how that's how they were made. They just put the grip on one side for this part of your hand. This part just grabbed onto the metal on the other side. So you use that for the prop, and there wasn't any.
You just had one palm swell.
Yeah.
You don't need a palm swell on the other side. You only have one palm, unless it's ambidextrous.
Oh, that's pretty cool, Cliff.
That is cool. That's cool.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Star Wars stuff's all it's all like that. Like the camera piece that they use for the lightsaber. Like all that stuff's like that. But the military stuff wasn't like. I mean, it wasn't valuable. Like at World War II stuff in the 70s, it was surplus. It was nothing.
Morning, Jimmy.
Shit he was just trying to get away with. Morning, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I mean, like you could get crates of M1 Garands. Like you could literally order World War II surplus rifles out of the back of a fucking comic book, and they would be delivered to your door. Like it was surplus, it was trash. Nobody cared.
Well, even like when you were born, when you were young, SKSs were showing up here, still in plastic, packed with cosmoline, and you literally could buy those by the crate. And if you bought enough of them, you were only paying $50 or $60 a piece for them.
Yeah.
I remember like searching for a paratrooper version.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine, he was all into that and stuff, and I ended up deciding not to get it, but they had one at in Osceola, Missouri. They had this little tiny gun store. I mean, it was tiny. It was just like it had been like a drive-in at some point, and that's all it was he had a bunch of stuff. He had a bunch of stuff on the walls, but I ended up buying a Tech 9 from him because it was like $40. It didn't have the suppressor, the barrel shield on it. That was the one that wouldn't fire but like 3 rounds and then jammed up.
That thing was a piece of crap. George, good morning, George. Sir.
Looking forward to seeing you too, man.
Hell yeah, dude. That George Vega right there, baby.
Hell yeah. George, have anybody talked to you about the vehicle workshop yet? I don't know if all that's been released, but I know they were talking about having you on hand for that. I think it's Saturday night this year.
Yeah, we definitely need to make sure George is kept in the loop. Yeah, that thing was a piece of crap. That Tech 9. We'll
Okay, I just making sure, man. I've been talking a lot to Dave Kunitz and Greg about what we're going to do for the show. Dave wrote up a write up, and Greg's going over it. We're going to do like a page where you can do that.
Hell yeah.
Yes, George, please do. Mikey and I are supposed to bring our entries from last year. Mikey and I won't be making anything this year. We're going to be helping the talent so they can focus on the people actually building stuff, and we can do grunt work and cut things and all that. Dave said he wanted to cut things too. So we're not whatever they need us to do. That's what we're there to do. So yeah, they want to set up and show everybody what happened last year. There's some other stuff we're going to do this year that is going to be a little different than last year, but only because of experience.
That would be very cool.
I think that's probably the idea, George. Yeah, definitely sub for George. So yeah, we're going to do that. And again, I've talked about it before that if you're going to DFW, you love vintage GI Joe. Okay, this isn't necessarily for the guys that are all into the new stuff. It might be, but if you love vintage Joe and you love the vehicles, like that workshop is a blast. You go in there. You got the Hasbro designers in there, the Hasbro designers that scratch built the vehicles. We were talking about model building and building stuff with your hands versus the other, versus printing everything and doing everything on a program. These guys tell you how they did it. They show you how they did it. This year we're doing some 3D print stuff just so that we have more time to focus on the builds. But the 3D print stuff we're making is just going to be basically greebles. You're going to start out. You can bring a vehicle of your own. If you last year, Mython brought a APC that he wanted to mount a whirlwind on the back of it.
No, a slugger, right?
Was it a slugger?
It was the
slugger can. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I think I can't remember who helped him with that.
Dave, didn't he?
Dave worked on part of it, but I think Frank was with him for a while too.
Oh, yep.
So if you got something you want to make, you bring the vehicle parts in there, and we're gonna have sheet styrene, and all kinds of other stuff. And those guys are there to show you how they would do it or what might help you put it together. They loved it. They had a blast. So they're coming again. We'll also Guy Cassidy will be there this year. So
cool.
There's some more people there. Kirk is going to be wandering around. He'll probably stop in. His input and his general just knowledge, right? Kirk really understood the line, understood why they did things they did. He's got great stories, and he has an appreciation for the fans. So
he does.
And a lot of these guys, kind of, not that they forgot about GI Joe, but they're not the guys that normally get called and say, "Hey, will you come to a show and sign autographs?" They're the unsung heroes. They're the guys that spent their night scratch building stuff in their office with little tabletop sanders and
high on spray paint.
Yeah,
blue.
And obviously, as we learned last year, tons of MEK.
Lots of MEK. Yeah, that'll fuck you up real good. Holy Lord.
Last year we did this in a room.
Ooh.
In a room we had that. So MEK is a chemical, and they use it like, we use super glue, and MEK is what used to be in Testors glue. That's what made people always complain because Testors glue doesn't stick to anything, and that's because it was designed to melt ABS type plastic, and you're literally welding the stuff together. And so MEK breaks that down, so you can literally have two pieces of styrene, put MEK on them, stick them together, and like in seconds they are welded together. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool stuff. But it
And at the
is.
same time, get it all over your fingers and not have
Oh
anything
yeah,
happen
you'll
to
get
your
it
finger.
everywhere. You'll get it. You'll even give you a little squeeze bottle, and you'll still get it everywhere.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
but it doesn't matter because it only bonds the plastic. Your fingers don't get stuck together. You don't have any of that. It's nice, but it's got a real odor to it.
It does. It does. What I found was if you're scratch building something, to
Oof.
have a little glass container with a sponge in it, and pour the MEK in the sponge, and then tap the edge of the part in there that you want to soak, and then stick it on. That is a lot cleaner method.
The stamp method.
Yeah,
The post office method.
but those guys are that. I forget how much that class is going to cost this year. I think it's probably around $100. That sounds steep, but I am telling you, it's probably got limited seating, so that those guys can really have a chance to work with the people. If you can get in there, get in there. It is a blast, and you learn so much. Dan Klingensmith's books, you see it. You see the scratch built models in there. These guys are going to tell you how they did it, tools they used, and they still have that knowledge. And so picking their brain about ideas and things like that is so much fun. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah. For real.
I agree.
That's
I
true.
agree. I agree.
Fair.
It's a good deal, and it's like I said, it is. I've been to a lot of conventions, done a lot of things, been to a lot of dealer conventions for boat shows and stuff like that, and this was by far one of the most interesting and fun things I've ever done. And George was a part of that. George made that feel even more real. So.
Yes, he was.
So hopefully we can have enough time to get a few more people complete their items. We're going to narrow it down, so it's not so much like, what do I do? I think Dave's got a plan for what we're going to work on. I don't want to spoil any of it. When they're ready to talk about it, they will. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And you take your vehicle home. Whatever you make, you take home. So now it's yours. We won't have time to paint. Mikey and I, the things that we did, we ended up just drawing on them with Sharpies to put panel lines and stuff like that in it, just to get a representation. There wasn't time or clear material to make canopies out of, so you just draw the canopy on the item. It's pretty cool. You start with a vacuum part, you end up with a cool thing to take home that you made with the help of actual GI Joe Hasbro guys. It's a blast.
Yeah. I still think it would be really awesome to figure out a way to do not this year, but at some point, to do the competition style where we do the baking challenge thing where
I think the grocery store baking.
Yeah,
where you say, okay, here's all the parts you can use. This team, they pick first, so go up there. You pick one set of wheels, one set of this, one set of that. You get first pick, and then they go take theirs and start working, and then the next group goes up and gets what they want. I would love to do that, and maybe after this year, we'll see how everything gels this year. Maybe we can do something like that later. I think that would be a blast.
I think so too. I think I think we'd have to really manage it, because I think you would have to do, depending on how many designers you have, you have, say, 4 teams, and split the designers up amongst that, and then each one creates a concept. Each one goes up and they get their parts based on some kind of number pull system, and you come up with a concept. You get a quick scratch build, and then it would be cool if there was a way we could do art for it, or if you just had five of these, and you just match the parts, and then you could splash color on it, something really quick and dirty. And then each team would present to a panel, one of them being Kurt. So you would be pitching to Kurt, and he would get his red pen out and take you down, and then there would be somebody else that would be kind of a neutral party, and you'd have a little panel, like you would
like
in those
judging
challenges.
like a baking competition, where you'd be like,
right.
Okay, yeah, presentation is A+, whatever. It'd be fun to do something like that, and then maybe we can next year or later.
Maybe someday.
We'll have Mikey and I have a lot of opportunities to talk to those guys, so we'll see. It's their show. We're just there to support it.
Yep. I don't want to put them to work. I just want them to have a good time so they keep coming.
Yeah, I would like to get it set up to where they don't have to do the work. They come in for that section, for that session, and they can come in for the design, for the marketing session, and get their pointers. You know, kind of have a team that they work with for the whole weekend. You know, start out one night, you do the first part, and then lock everything up. Everybody comes in the next day, and you do the presentations. You get your pictures, you'll make your presentations.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thanks, George. We've been working on that since we left DFW last year.
Oh, we were working on it when we were still at DFW.
Yeah, we were. I think we were talking about it off and on while we were building our builds. It would be cool. So
I think we even got Kirk's idea about it. Like we were like, "What do you think about like a challenge?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that could be cool." Like, okay,
that day after, he was like, "Oh, I would do that."
Because we got that, and then we got like George gave us the art that he made for us. We were like, "Okay, there's something else here. Let's talk about it."
Yeah, I have that. I have George's art framed on my mantle with my plane. And it's very, like I said, it wasn't life changing or anything, but it certainly made me. I think that's probably when Mikey and I decided we wanted to be a part of the show, the DFW show next year. Was we were like that was such a, of all the years I've gone to Joe Fest, it felt more like Joe Con.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, that felt very, very legitimate.
Well, we appreciate it, George. It meant a lot to us, and like I said, it's something I'll never forget. You know, I've been doing this stuff for a long time, and to get to do something like that was top notch. And you and Dave working together to get the color palette and all that was just incredible.
It was the whole thing. It was just the combination of events that had transpired were just, man, it's the kind of experience you wish you could give everybody, and that's what spurred the idea. Was like, how could we give that to other people, because it was so amazing. Like, not only did you get to work with Hasbro guys and get to scratch build something wild, as limitless, as far as your imagination goes. You get to work with the guys that used to do it. You get to talk about the guys that used to say whether or not it went into production. You got to do all of that. Then like here comes this great artist that's like, he's like, "Oh yeah, you mind if I do some drawings?" You're like, "Oh my god, that would be so freaking cool." Yeah. And then it comes out and you're like, "That's amazing." And then you go back to the guys to have them sign it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that art that George did, that's so cool. That's so Other people need to experience some form of that. That's what we want. That's the whole.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just something, like I said, it just meant a lot to me, and it made me want to do. I mean, Mikey and I have talked about trying to put a convention or something together for a long time here in the Midwest, but seeing that and working with Greg after last year and working with him this year on what's coming up, it does make me think that would be an incredibly good time to do something like that. Kansas City, or even somewhere on the west side of the line, that has a nice big, somewhere like Lawrence, or somewhere that has a big center that could support, and hotels that could support it. Something that is a weekend event, not just a Saturday show. Yeah. There's people here that do Saturday shows, and they're fine. They're good, but it's just a swap meet. That's all it is.
Sure.
But when you get a lot more people involved, you get somebody that actually wants to be involved, the guys that you kind of take that concept and you look at Assembly Required, the Codename Iowa show in Des Moines.
Yeah.
That show very much feels like summer camp for GI Joe fans.
Yes.
You got the Sunday morning breakfast, eating cereal while watching cartoons, watching the Joe cartoons.
Legitimately every year.
Things to do every night as a group. You can be part of the group or not. Last year, Rat Viper did put on an impromptu concert.
No, that's right. Yeah. That's
So,
right.
I mean, man, so doing something like that, a different time of the year would be fun. But, there's always opportunities.
Well, there's one aspect of what they used to do with what well,
Yeah.
Joe Cons and Assembly Required used to do it, and that was the kids class where they got to build something. You got a bunch of parts, and kids get to build something. Now, Joe Fest or the Joe conventions, I remember for me that was 12-inch. The guy just had the big pit of stuff, and he just built something and came out and whatever, paid $10.
Yeah, literally,
away.
they roped off a chunk of the floor, like a 14 by 14-foot area, roped it off, and just dumped stuff in it. And other vendors could throw stuff in there, and kids just went through there. People just went through there and picked out parts, made them a figure, and walked away with something they put together themselves.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then and then Assembly Required was doing it with wasn't it Joe Customs that was doing that, and they had like a big bucket of parts, and kids went in there for I don't remember, it was an hour or two, and they put together a figure. Like, that's one aspect. If ever we did something, I would like to incorporate that for kids. Like, I think that's
the last
part of it.
The last AR that I went to that they did that, they had this little corner that was all set up with just like tubs full of arms, tubs full of legs, tubs full of all the parts, and you just dug through, found what you wanted. I think it was that Tiger Force? Was that your year you went when they did that?
Night Force.
It was Night Force. Okay.
That was the first year I went.
The Tiger Force was the year before, and they had little decal sets, and you could paint the figure and let it sit there for a while, and then come back and put their little tiger stripe decals on them. It was pretty cool. And they walked around and worked with the kids, and that show they try to make that very kid friendly during the day, and then the collectors have the nights.
Yeah.
But during the day, when kids come in under a certain age, they get a free toy. Last year, what was it? Last year? It was a good one. Televiper.
Yeah, it was the Trouble Bubble. Yeah. The Python Patrol Trouble Bubble. Every kid got one when they came in.
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, it's stuff that people got on clearance and donate, or they got a big batch of it on clearance, and that's fine. You're just trying to get people interested in it to, get kids interested so that we can keep on moving this forward into the next generation, which is really difficult in this day and age.
Yep.
George, that's pretty cool, and I think that's part of it too. Part of the fun of doing it the way that they did it back then is do as much of it like they did back then as you possibly can. A marker rendering the night before the marketing section, the judge section, that would be cool, so we'll have to see what we can cook up. We'll see how it goes this year, and actually spend some time with them, with the designers, and see what they liked and want to do different. Dave's really done a good job of leading that this year. So we'll see what happens. I love working with Dave. That's what he does. Part of what he does for a living is design and development for companies. So he's very familiar with ways to do this. So we shall see. All we do is make custom stuff and paint toys.
Well, you sculpt and print.
But that is it's definitely something that we want to keep on going. And anybody that is going to DFW, we're looking forward to meeting everybody in person or again if we saw you last year.
Yeah,
I had a really good time last year. Met a lot more people. Lots of people wanting to hang out with the Prez.
Yeah, that was weird.
Got an internet celebrity in the family.
Oh, good Lord. It's your waiters.
This year, everybody's going to want it with Harry Carey, though. You got their Trump fill last year. This year it'll be. Yep, check it out.
Thanks, brother.
You can. Awesome.
Yeah, Dan.
There. Yeah, so that's kind of all this stuff we're doing here now is all prepping for those 2 shows, and in the middle of moving, I still have a lot of sculpting to do.
Yeah.
This is when you get ready to move. Like that's when you like look back and say, "Man, I wish I was more social in the years that I lived here, so that I actually had a group of friends that could come help me move."
Yeah, at your age though, those friends don't really exist anymore.
No, they don't. Hey, Jacob.
What's up, buddy?
No, they don't. And we're at the age now where it's like, I mean, yeah, yeah, you could drive my truck. Nobody wants to carry boxes.
No, nobody wants that shit.
I don't even want to. Last time we moved was so ridiculous that I don't not looking forward to it. That's why I'm getting rid of so much stuff. Like,
yeah. So,
I think I'm gonna unload my Madelman 2000 figures. Some of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Trying to weed everything down to with the O-ring stuff. So I have lots of O-ring figures from all the different manufacturers and the people that did knockoffs of the knockoffs and things like that. Just because it entertains me. You know, I just like that kind of thing. So I've slowly been weeding out all the extras of core figures and stuff like that. All that's left of my Joe collection is Astronauts and the OGs through 83. There's a couple 84s in there, I think.
Well, yeah, you gotta have Thunder and Ripcord and Airborne.
Yeah, definitely Airborne. But yeah, so there's just been a lot of. Here's this guy.
And Joseph, what up, dude?
Ring coming in. Yeah, so I don't know. It's been this last time around. It's been a lot easier to decide to let go of things, especially with all the 3D work I've been doing and want to be doing in the next few months. I really want to start knuckling down on that stuff and get some things made. I think probably put everything on either an Etsy shop or somewhere else, and then try to get traffic over to the webpage. But I think it's going to be a lot easier to sell that stuff in the same. Try to get to the same markets that the other guys like Carnage and those guys are doing. So at least it's viewable, with other things like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't really want to sell 3D files. I want to sell prints.
Makes sense.
But, yeah. So the June Power Tour kicks off here in a few weeks. What we got? 6 weeks, just about.
Yeah, that's about right. That is not a lot of fucking time.
It is May the 4th be with you day.
Hell yeah.
Did anybody watching catch Revenge of the Sith at the theaters last week? I really wanted to check it out. I thought that'd been fun. The last good Star Wars movie.
I considered it.
That's questionable.
But no, I didn't.
Yeah, I was going to, but I just probably should have done that on one of the nights I just sat in the dark.
Dang it, that is what you should have done.
And probably the same group of people, The Accountant 2 is out.
Which looks pretty awesome.
It does look awesome.
Looks really good. Frickin' John Bernthal.
Yeah, watching those two guys clear rooms for an hour and a half sounds pretty good to me.
Right? Fucking Batman and the Punisher. Let's do this. Let's go. If that doesn't sound like a fucking nerd wrote that one.
Sweet.
Nice.
I guess the records for it, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I heard this morning that the records for that Revenge of the Sith viewing were like better than the last few Star Wars movies.
Oh geez, I wonder why.
Well, I'd say it's probably, even though that is considered like not the best sequel Star Wars movies, it is solid compared to what's happened since.
That's how low the bar is. Is that people
That's how low the bar
flock
is
to the theaters to see Revenge of the Sith when you guys Disney can't do anything with Star Wars right now that is successful. I mean, Andor people are just saying like, yeah, it's pretty good because it doesn't have to be great anymore. It just has to be okay. It just has to be watchable. That's the bar.
Well, even Andor's numbers are not big, so.
No, they're not. But that's what it takes. That's the metric for success is completely changed.
I think a lot of
no fail line, like
other than the Mandalorian, especially the first season, a lot of this is just the fact that Revenge of the Sith was the last real Star Wars movie. Mm. You know, it wasn't. We knew kind of what was going to happen. I mean, Rogue One is a good time. It's a good movie.
Rogue One's a good movie.
But Revenge of the Sith wasn't focused on nostalgia. It was focused on telling this story. And it's good versus evil, and it's very simple. Good versus evil. It's not confusing. So.
Dear Barbara.
The problem with that, Zakanan, is that once you rinse your eyes out with bleach, you really don't have to worry about watching another Star Wars movie. Thanks,
Stop to hear it though.
Yeah, you still have to hear the dialogue, and if we are talking about Acolyte, that is just as bad as watching
it. I believe it. I refuse to do it, but I believe it.
Lightsaber clinic.
There you go.
The only holiday more dangerous than 4th of July is Lightsaber Day.
Yeah, just be standing out in the yard, just waving one around while Duel of the Fates plays on a fucking boombox. Just ba, ba, ba.
Yeah, why not?
Just wait for a kid to come challenge you.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes, they are.
Hell yeah. Eyebrows too. If you're talking about those extending ones.
I think there was a guy over in one of the towns not very far from Springfield that makes the prop sabers with the polycarbonate blades.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I haven't seen him advertised for a while, but he makes hilts, and you can get a custom hilt made and all kinds of stuff. Pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So we talked about guns and Star Wars and GI Joe. It's been a pretty good show.
Covered a lot of the bases.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Be safe out there, my man.
Yeah, so next show we'll have a lot more progress on the Spaceman. Maybe some other goodies to show off. Wednesday night we'll be assembling. Mikey's going to assemble the sci-fi kit. Sorry, sci-fi pilot kit is what we're calling it. to not get in
Sci-fi
trouble.
pilot.
Technically, you can build it as the V3 pilot.
You definitely could.
But V2 is really a good design, solid. Dorman did that art. Is that who did that art, Mikey? In Dan's book, is that Dave Dorman?
I think so. Let's see if
I think it is.
I think that's right. Dorman. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do the Cosmic Legion thing and just put some random apostrophes through it.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Dorman did that original art, but Doug Hart did the card art, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Doug did a majority of the card art for the last bit of the run. So
that's what I thought. In the '90s, I was pretty sure that Doug Hart did the majority of them, and he'll be at Joe Fest.
He will be at Joe Fest. I'm excited. I've only talked to him on the phone. Missed him last year, so trying to get him. Meet him.
That'll be very.
He did a lot of other art. He did, I believe, he did the Air Raiders art.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his earlier work. All the Stargate.
I was gonna say Stargate. I think he did the Stargate stuff, which is cool. Another guy that's still really, really into it.
Yeah, and he was because Garrido was so well known as that artist. Like Doug hardly ever got any real recognition for the work that he did. So he's just excited to be in it. He's very he doesn't like crowds, so he's very apprehensive. So he's willing to do the one show a year for sure, and that's the one we were able to get him at our booth.
Which makes sense because he's doing stuff for Skeletron too, right?
Yeah, Skeletron.
He does the O-ring stuff for them, so that's cool.
I think he's doing the art for Operation Recall too.
Is he? I didn't realize he was doing Recall stuff too. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it just kind of ties all that stuff together.
So, Doug Hart and George Vega are doing the O-ring figures for the most part.
That's pretty cool, Jacob. That's really cool. That's really cool. There were so many when Revenge of the Sith came out. Like Target went crazy with Revenge of the Sith tie-in stuff. So there's a lot of Target exclusives out there from that era. If somebody was interested in it, there's a lot of stuff out there, and right now a lot of that's pretty affordable. But again, if it gets people interested, gets people pumped up about it, generates interest, all that stuff's tied together.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to matter to big companies because they've got their dollar out of it. But secondhand stores, people that sell vintage stuff, they all get to enjoy it next few days.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if they did care, they would have put out figures to go along with the re-release, and they didn't. So.
Yes.
I mean, I guess Black Series did come out with the Revenge of the Sith, the retro packaging, right?
Yeah.
It's that weird bubble shape.
Yeah, and my thing is, it's weird when they do decide to do something, they do the basic pre-order at the same time as the event. So
yeah.
Cannon, have a good one, man. Thanks for your help today.
Your brother. Tell the wife we said hello.
But yeah.
That's cool though. The kids are getting the real experience. That is what it's all about.
And I think that's kind of what I meant by the last real Star Wars movie not a rehash of another story. It was a story we thought we knew, but really hadn't heard it. So seen it on the big screen. You got lightsabers, you got clone troopers, big battles. Like I said, good
unfortunately, you have the big no, which is pretty bad. But
that's at the very end. You can distract somebody with fresh popcorn. There at the very end, like, hey man, I still have popcorn left. Do you want it? Like, I'm trying to watch the movie. No, it's okay. You can take some popcorn.
Yeah. And actually take something that's a little crunchier. Actually, would be good for you.
Yeah,
that would be better. Will, what's up, buddy?
Welcome. Thanks for dropping by.
Welcome, my man. Happy 4th day. I think Will had a stream earlier this morning too.
Cool.
I think. So. Yeah. That's what else you got, Pop?
I don't think I have anything else. So. As far as
all right.
Other than Wednesday night, you got Figure It Out. Thursday night, 9 p.m. Central. What do you got this week for that?
This week we have Blake Tarpley. We're going to be talking about we're talking about robots. Talking about robots.
Oh, sweet.
I'm going to pick our favorite to represent some specific genres, and then we're going to pick our candidate for the worst robot. So.
Excellent. Yeah. I can't wait to see Tweaky on the list.
Who?
Tweaky from Buck Rogers.
Oh, yep. That'll probably. I'm sure that'll be on there. Yeah. I've no doubt. So that's that's what we got coming up. For those that were watching last Thursday, we were. What's up, Turk? We were concerned that we would not get Mega Powers back this week, but Mega Powers is back this week. As you saw Jerk in the chat, Jerk got his channel back. Thank goodness for that. Got his channel, got his Google account hacked, so they weren't able to do anything on his account. Sucked. So Thursday, no show for him. So they've got it back. So Monday night they will have a slew of personalities in the chat, which will be really, or on the show, which will be really fun.
Celebrate the return.
That's right. The king is back.
All hail the king.
All hail the king.
Yo, Joe Jerk.
Yo, Joe. Anyway, that is all I have. That's all I got.
All right.
So, closing thoughts.
We'll be back in 2 weeks
for
this show.
2 weeks. Until then, you guys keep your gunpowder dry. May the 4th be with you. Always.
May the 4th.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Eat my short.
Go fuck yourself. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Flush that turd down the drain. Avenge me! Avenge me!
Thank you.